Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and we are thrilled to have in some artists that have their work showcased at Bfree Studio in La Jolla. We're going to chat about their work and even talk about a Santa's Workshop holiday pop-up show in the program we'll do here. Joining us is Zach Dobbins, an artist from Bfree Studio, Ethan Chan, and Helena Westra. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely honored to have you. We'll start with you, Zach. What is Bfree Studio? Where is it? When was it invented? And tell me your connection with it.
So Bfree Studio is a community-based gallery in La Jolla. So we've been there a little over a year now. We're right on Girard, right between, I would say, if you're familiar with La Jolla, between Girard Gourmet and the Athenaeum, right on that corner there. We're really focused on community-based artists, and whether that be emerging or mid-career artists. We've got, age range isn't really important to us. It's more about, where you are in your career, what you're interested in community engagement. We've got, artists ranging from, 18 to 75 and plus. We've been pretty much everywhere with that stuff.
Yeah. So what's the current exhibit going on?
So the current thing we have going on is a show called More Than One. It's a group show of multiples. So our artists dealing with multiples in some way, whether that be prints, zines, cast, and paintings and everything that has to do with multiples in any way. We put out a call, and artists were invited to interpret that.
Then when you say multiples of figures, multiples of scenes?
Just multiple. So the call was really loose. It was just, come in. We wanted artists to kind of interpret what we were working with, the call that we had put out. And, multiples can be anything, like I was saying. So there's the couple artists that we have are using casts of, they would make a mold of something and make multiples of those. Other artists just happen to use a bunch of different objects and made a good point for why they were using those objects in the call.
Okay, very, very good. So, Helena, you've been an artist for how long?
Probably all my life.
Very good. So from the day you came out to this world and started playing with whatever the case may be and haven't stopped, is that correct?
Yeah, and my mom was a painter, so we grew up around the house doing a lot of creative things.
What type of painting?
She does abstract paintings.
Yeah, my mom was an artist, and she did oils and watercolors, and I learned nothing of it. I can barely do a stick figure, and that would be insulting to stick figures for that aspect of it. Do you do painting yourself?
I do painting. Right now I'm focused more on sculpture and ceramics, though.
Okay. So then did you study it in school?
I'm currently a student at San Diego State University, so
Aztec
I'm
for
studying
life.
art there.
Right.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, exactly. But probably before your great-grandparents were born, I was there. But it's a great school. So is that your major?
Mm-hmm. I'm an applied design major with an emphasis in either ceramics or sculpture, but I'm still deciding.
Well, very, very cool. How about you, Ethan? Where did you go to school? Or where have you graduated?
I have.
Congratulations.
COVID graduate. 2020 in Point Loma University.
Oh, that's a great school. Absolutely. Yeah. And what was the
nice
major?
Campus. It was sculpture and installation.
Okay. So how about you? Did you grow up in a family that was focused on art?
No, not at all. No, my parents were very against the idea. I had to make a PowerPoint presentation. I still remember putting that together to convince them that it wasn't completely financially unstable to try to attempt being an artist.
Beautiful. So your dad was, or mom, and one of them were the CEO, and one was the COO, right? And then you had to present. Do you have siblings?
My sister, little sister.
Was that person in the judging panel?
No, only one on my side. Every day.
How about any pets you have?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any pets?
Nope.
No pets. I was going to say, with the pets on your side,
definitely
too,
allergic.
That's always good. Really, that is so interesting. So, how old were you when you did the PowerPoint?
Oh, I was 20. 3.
Interesting. Very, very. And then once you did that, they said, you're in, right? You know what you're doing?
It took, they assumed I would come back changing my mind, and then 3 years went by and I started getting paid for it. So
no, that's very, very, very cool. We're chatting with our artist friends that have their exhibits at Bfree Studio in La Jolla, more than one, an art exhibition of multiples. Joining us is Zach Dobbins, Ethan Chan, and Helena Westra. So, Helena, how did you find out about Bfree? Just because it's got such a great name, it's only been around for a little while, but does pretty good stuff, correct?
Yeah, well, I actually found out about it through my friend Olivia Pryor, who Scott Pryor, I think, had a show pretty early on at Bfree, and he's her father. And Ethan also told me about the Bfree show. So this was for the Identity Through Americana show call.
Okay.
And I think Zach might have made an Instagram post, or somehow I got the link.
I had just started reaching out to different local members of the community, whether it be through universities. I went to a bunch of the open studio sessions that universities had. I just went to every arts institution, whether it be the gallery that they both work at, or anything like that. And I just started plugging and getting, and I guess, involved in the community in some way. And so I was just like, hey, I'm curating a show. If you have anything that might be of interest, send it my way, and let's cook something up. The show didn't really have a theme to it at the beginning of it, and it just kind of developed that way with all the artists that I'm probably a little biased to sculpture and Americana, but that's just kind of the way it went.
Right. Zach, talk about why it's so important for Bfree to be in La Jolla, or does it really make a difference where it is?
I think it was a logical place for us to start. The gallery owner, Barbara Freeman, has she's resided in La Jolla and has kind of made a community there for herself, and it was just a logical place right after COVID for her to start a space blocks away from her house. I think it is important for especially a community-based gallery to be in one of the hubs of art in San Diego, and so it was just all in all just a really logical intuitive choice to start there, and especially, I don't know. I think
it's a great. Everyone who's spent any time where the gallery is located knows it's a great place to walk. I mean, there's so many places to walk. You can walk to the Cove. You can walk to almost anywhere. So, and a lot of people love doing that in La Jolla. We all know that.
Exactly.
They get there, and it doesn't make a difference what day it is and what time it is. They can walk around. Hey, look at this gallery. This is cool. I think that's a perfect location for it. Helena, talk a little bit about your art that's in this exhibit.
Right now I have a couple pieces in the show. I have 2 zines. I have like a wall installation piece that's pretty much 22 sequoia pine cones made out of ceramics. And then I have a small series of wooden tools.
So did you actually go to Sequoia to get these pines?
No, I made them out of clay.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, my goodness, you actually went to Sequoia National Park. Okay, you made that out of clay. Very, very good. So did you use a Sequoia pine cone as a model, so to speak?
Sadly, I didn't have one in my possession, so I just used reference photos from online.
Nice. So there's 22 of them, you said? Mm-hmm. Why that number?
Because I'm 22 years old.
Of course, always. With the beauty of artists, there's always a reason for something. And sometimes there's no reason for something on that. 22. Okay,
the reason comes up afterwards.
Absolutely.
You just got to be thinking about what you're making, I guess.
I think that's terrific. How long did it take you to make this artwork?
Oh, longer than I wanted it to. I think... So there's a process with ceramics called slip casting, where you can cast an object and make a mold and then just pour like really liquid clay into it, and you can pump out a lot of multiples. But I didn't have access to plaster, and I kind of liked the handmade aspect of making each one slowly but surely by hand. So it took a while. It did.
Right. That's the first time you've done this type of artwork?
I've done ceramics before for a couple of years now, but I'd only made 1 pine cone before this.
All right. Well, maybe you're on your way to pine cone. You'll be the pine cone artist. That would be a nice moniker. My name is Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing great things to San Diego. For more than 60 years, we are chatting with artists that are having their exhibit showcased at Bfree Studio in La Jolla. Chatting with us is Zach Dobbins, Ethan Chan, and Helena Westra. So talk a little bit about, Ethan, about your artwork.
At the show,
Yes.
I currently have a smaller installation, just one, with 9 guns in it, all created faithfully color and size out of sauce packets.
Out of sauce packets?
Yeah.
So what type of sauce packets?
All kinds. Mustard, mayo, barbecue sauce, ketchup, horseradish.
Whatever you can buy in bulk.
Yeah, exactly. Boy, well, now, what inspired you to do that?
I've been working with sauce packets since I finished up undergrad, but the gun specifically, that I owe to Zach. Zach really had to force his way in convincing me to put that installation together and make it a full art piece. I've always used them as accessories. I've been making costumes with sauce packets, kind of this weird condiment costume that people wear, and have done performances with them, usually hang them up like their clothes in somebody's wardrobe. And the guns came as accessories to police uniforms originally.
How interesting. So are the packets form a gun, like a 22 caliber or a Magnum or whatever? Is it the same type of gun?
Yeah, pretty much just like that. Like I take certain guns and model them after and just recreate them with the right size and the right color, just using sauce packets.
Right. Okay. So how many sauce packets does it take to make one of those gun displays?
To make about one hand cannon is 20, 25.
Okay, right. So now, do you just go to a McDonald's, and when they're not looking, you take about 45 packets, and then every time you go to some or the zoo or whatever, and we go ahead and get some stuff, and we never use half the stuff we take, right?
Yeah, no, it started out that way. I that's where they came from originally. I mean, my roommates in college would keep taking them. We ate horribly senior year and just kept a jar full of it. And then after I started using them more religiously in my practice, I started having to buy them from the Heinz company straight, just in bulk. So I had the whole color range at my disposal.
You have got yourself a great promo for Heinz. You do know that. You do know that, don't you?
I do. Thank you.
That's right. Exactly. You are going to call them and ask to be a spokesperson and get paid 6 figures, are you not?
PR people in the shows that they've been exhibited and have tried, and I guess they're too busy.
They're too, well, okay. Well, you're just getting started off on that aspect of it. Zach, do you have an exhibit at Bfree?
Yeah, I have a few pieces of work in there that I made just in light of the idea when I was curating. I've got, I think, 5 grenades that I've made from. I made a mold of these grenades. I cast a bunch of urethane little red grenades, and they look like these red apples that would be this pristine, fresh off the shelf red apple that's been polished, and they've got these large arrows that go through them. So this the title of the piece is "Off One's Child's Head." So kind of going off of those tales of the marksmanship of shooting the apple. Yeah, exactly.
And
this kind of relating that to my interest as an artist. In Americana, as these grenades were used, they're modeled after the American baseball. There's this kind of pointing towards American exceptionalism in our military and all these other themes that I love to investigate through my work. But yeah, so I think there's 5 of them each that have different kinds of arrows shooting through them, and it's kind of very. Surface level, pretty funny pieces. A grenade, an arrow going through it. What normally would be the solid object. Instead, it's just red kind of candy apple grenade that I've made.
So, are all of the exhibits that we just heard from Ethan and you and Helena? Are they on a website where they can see?
So you can.
Or no, you have to go to the exhibit to see them.
I mean, you should go to the exhibit. A lot of them are installation pieces.
That's what I would say. You cannot look at this until you get to the exhibit.
Yeah, I would definitely, if you can make it over, I would definitely do so, because a lot of them are installation pieces, and they invite the viewer to be in front of them and to be within the scale of the work. But you can view them at bfreestudio.net. All of the works will be uploaded and have been uploaded, and the show is meant to be approachable for art. Collectors and things like that. So if you're just getting into interested in emerging artists and interested in collecting work, a lot of the work is ranges from I think anywhere from $5 to maybe $1,000 most, but most of the things are in that $300 range, because most of the stuff that are up on gallery walls are in that $8,000 to $20,000 range, and that's not as approachable for someone who might just be interested in the arts and want to take something home from an exhibition that they can relate with. And that was the goal of More Than One. Is I chose that theme because multiples tend to be a little bit more approachable, and artists tend to make an edition of 100 of them so that they can be purchased by collectors and purchased by people that can't buy a $20,000 installation piece.
No, that's spot on. I want to bring that up when we come back from the break and talk more about, you brought up something really interesting. You do a lot of research on some of these things that you all do when you're exploring your craft, so to speak. I think that's important. When I talk about the school connection, if you work with the schools, we all know that arts in the schools is critical and that they should never be cut. That's the last thing that should be cut, by the way. And as our good friend Susan Clausen knows, I have to say it every single time I have someone from the theater on or art in that aspect as well. So we'll be right back chatting with our friends Zach Dobbins, Ethan Chan, and Helena Westra. They have their exhibits displayed at Bfree Studio in La Jolla. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things in San Diego for more than 60 years. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things in San Diego for more than 60 years. We're with some cool cats from the Bfree studio, artists Zach Dobbins, Ethan Chan, and Helena Westra. Ethan, you were chatting about when you were doing your exhibit, looking about grenades and this and that and all that, but you want to do some historical research on this. I'll throw over this to Helena. How much research do you do when you go ahead and you do an exhibit? You're doing pine cones, of course, right? Do you do research on pine cones or about what you want to do in the exhibit?
Pretty loosely, actually. So normally I create intuitively. So I have an idea and then I sort of look into that idea and do some research into that. And what I really liked about the pine cones was that I don't know the exact ecological term, but they require heat in order to release their seeds. And most of that heat comes from forest fires. And I thought that it was a really beautiful thing that could exist with creation within the aspect of destructive fire force.
Sure.
So in relation to the piece that I have on exhibit right now at the More Than One exhibition at Bfree, that's probably the extent of the research that I did for that. Yeah. It depends on the piece.
Sure. So on some pieces you will really dig into some research on that. How about you, Ethan?
I typically don't get into any research until the thing is done. I think the way that my head likes to work with it is, pick a material that you think is interesting, that kind of stands on its own, that has its own story to tell. Sauce packets are so embedded in fast food culture, Americana.
Absolutely.
Every American knows what a sauce packet is. We keep them in our glove boxes in the unused kitchen drawer. And that kind of stuff can speak volumes if you use it in the right way, I think, about our culture, about who we are as consumers.
Right. So interesting. Have you seen anyone else use sauce packets the way you do?
No, not that I can think of.
To be honest with you, I've never heard this one before, and I think it's great, and it makes it unique and so forth, and innovative. What do you think? Have you thinking about your next exhibit that ties into things like not necessarily sauce packets, but something else that is so Americana-like?
I can't say I've thought that far ahead yet. I typically just go at it by ear. Been preparing for a few more shows coming afterwards, but No, I think they're all sauce packet related work still.
You know, I find interesting about that, and I wanted to brought this up right before the break, working with schools, and I'm very passionate about art is the last thing you should be cutting from the schools because there's so much you can learn: history, language arts, physics, science, chemistry, sauce packets, what goes into a sauce pack. I'm very serious. And you can pretty much teach almost anything, through art. And heaven forbid people actually enjoy what they're doing on that aspect of it. I'll start with you on this, Zach. Do a lot of schools come up to the Bfree studio? Do they see what's going on?
We've got a pretty good engagement with, especially, local, there's a lot of, I think the Bishop's School, La Jolla High and things like that have all definitely been through one way or another, whether it just be, with friends and family or through some school visits and things like that. But I'd say that my goal is definitely to be engaged in the communities that have emerging artists in them, so it's logical to go to UCSD, to go to SDSU, and look for these artists doing interesting things and start conversations. But I think the education aspect is huge for me because I know when I was in high school and things like that, I wasn't engaged with what contemporary artists were doing. I was engaged with Pablo Picasso and everything behind, and so I found no place for me within contemporary art. And so I've definitely made it a point, and I guess that's always one of my goals, is to kind of engage young artists and young makers and things like that to this is what's happening now. These are things that are people that are making things now that if I had part of me is kind of glad that I didn't, because I found it in a very organic way, but if I had known that these things were even possible, and that, making sauce packet guns and making, ceramic pine cones and weird things like that, and not just painting, nice figures were possible, I would definitely have pursued that in a different way.
Well, and I think everybody, you guys know this better than anybody, everyone's got the artist in him or her.
Oh, yeah.
It's there. Now, most people will sort of poo-poo it. Just like poetry, I can't write poems. I stink at poetry. And this is well, yeah. What are you talking about? You probably could put something down just as good as Ginsberg, for that aspect of it. But the same with art. Having grown up in a artist family, my mom, and she would have her art all over the place, and we used to go to the Laguna Art Festival. And you were talking about, Zach, about I'd walk through there and I go, that thing's worth $25,000. I wouldn't pay 25 cents for it. But this here, that's worth X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
That is something that, and that's why I encourage people to go to Bfree Studio. We'll chat about that before the show's over. You can pick up something that's affordable.
Yeah.
And, I think supporting young artists, that are just getting started, or maybe they've been doing it for a while, is just absolutely critical on this. So, Helena, where else have you displayed some of your work?
I've displayed my work at I went to Miracosta Community College, and they had
Great
a little
school.
gallery space there. So I've displayed my work there, and a couple other places in San Diego, I think.
Right. How about you, Ethan?
Most recently, I had a show at a Quint Gallery in the Museum of, and the last one was in Oceanside Museum of Art.
Right, exactly. How about you, Zach?
I've showed at a couple. I've obviously showed at the Bfree Studio,
Sure.
But my most recent endeavor is I'm the artist in residence at Bread and Salt Gallery. So I'm there for 3 months. I got selected as one of the 4 people to be chosen for the year.
Congratulations.
To have that space. Thank you. To have that space and to kind of explore my practice through it, and have a nice gallery / studio space that I can work in, present work once a month on when they have their openings and things like that. But it's been an honor to be there, and yeah.
Right. So we mentioned Santa's workshop holiday pop-up. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So this is all about Zach here. Okay. Talk about this.
So that's something that Barbara, the gallery owner, Barbara Freeman, has wanted to do after the opening of the showing, is that we're going to have this kind of festive, more or less just approachable art experience, like everything else that we're trying to do there. But this is focused on, having, the younger community engage and engaging with families to make, ornaments and all other kinds of, art derived things around the holidays, I guess.
Yeah, very, very cool. So it's on display through the end of the year, or through
so
Christmas?
It'll be through I believe through the 24th, and that'll be it should Yeah, so it'll be coinciding with the show that we have now. So
Right.
the more than one show will be at the same time. So if you're into get bang for your buck, you can come for both of them. Of all the things up for more than one, they'll all be there. But also it'll be some family engaging at the front. Yeah.
No, that sounds great. We're chatting with our artist friends from Bfree Studio. Of their work that is exhibited in this really cool, going through, I think, the end of the month, through December 30th. More than one, an art exhibition of multiples. Chatting with Zach Dobbins, Ethan Chan, and Helena Westra. So I'm going to put you guys on the spot now, but you guys are smart and bright. You can handle all this here. I'll start with you on this, Ethan, then we'll toss it to Helena and you, Zach. What advice would you give to people who say, I can't be successful being an artist? What would you say?
That they're wrong. I think it's completely possible to have a future in art if you work hard at it. And I guess to piggyback off of the thing where anybody can be a good artist, I think it's totally correct. I think contemporary art has changed the game in the sense that good art is no longer about having a talent in craft or being able to paint like more accurate portraits of people. And photographs can do that anyways. But that is to say, if you work hard at it to come up with original ideas and keep putting your own spin on it, keep putting your take on objects out in the world and make it accessible so that people can get something universal from it, it's completely possible to have a future in it.
Oh, that's great feedback. How about you, Helen?
Could you repeat the question?
Well, I just want to say, what advice do you get for people to say, geez, I don't know about art. I don't have it in me. I can't be an artist. It's hard. What would you say to discourage them that thinking and say, no, you can?
I would say that being an artist in a lot of ways is what you make of it. It doesn't have to be your day job. You can have another job in addition to being an artist to supplement your own practice. I would also say just keep making the work. If you love it, if it's what feeds your soul, don't neglect that part of yourself. Really listen to it. And the more you put into it, the more it'll thrive and the more you'll get out of it. And whether that be monetary gains or whether that be personal, psychological gains, mental health gains, physical health gains, or even if you're just interested in it, just go for it. Being an artist can manifest itself in so many different ways and look different for so many different people. And I think that if it's something that you love, by all means.
Yeah, well stated. Zach?
Can I get the question one more time?
Well, again, want to see here you are, very young-ish folks that are doing very successful, and especially in this contemporary artwork here at Bfree Studio. The exhibit goes through December 30th in the exhibition of multiple features. What would you say to people, younger folks, that I'm not sure if I got a career in art, or I don't know, I can't do this?
I mean, art is, I think, anyone can do it. I think anyone who can think can do it. Contemporary art isn't about how well you can paint a picture now. It's not about how well you can, craft and sculpt, a marble bust. It's really just about thinking. And if you can think about things and what's going on in the world and things that you're interested in, at the very least, I think anyone could be successful in contemporary art. You can, you could just buy things and put them up on the wall. And that's, if you've got a good story to go along with it, you've got a good, where does that connect to you? Where does that connect to the rest of the world? I think you can just be, just as successful. And, a lot of the big players in the world do that exact same thing. It's just about, pursuing that interest and those ideas. And I think there's a lot of approachable ways to get into the art world. You could go into it and, have a solo practice, but you could also have, be teaching. And there's so many different avenues for you to be successful within the contemporary art world and to, pursue your passion. I think it's endless. Really.
No, I think it's terrific. So, Zach, shout out, where do people find Bfree Studio in La Jolla?
So Bfree Studio is located at 7857 Girard Avenue in La Jolla, just before the Athenaeum. If you're heading towards the coast, we're right on the right side there on the main drag of La Jolla for all the galleries. And we're there all the time.
Really encourage everyone to come and visit. More than one, an art exhibition, the multiples, featuring this great work of Zach Dobbins and Ethan Chan and Helena Westra and a host of other artists. I will add as well. And wishing you guys nothing but great success with this exhibit, and hoping to have you back in the studio somewhere down the road talking about other exhibits you do. How's that sound?
That sounds like a plan to me.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, thoroughly enjoyed the interview, and nothing but great success moving moving forward, and you might just see me strolling around that exhibit somewhere down the road. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing terrific things in San Diego for more than 60 years.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.